of the advances in ericksonian therapy that have happened over the last 20 years. And I am making this videotape from Taiwan, from Taipei City. And it's after the workshop, and some of the attendees from the workshop are still here in the auditorium. And so the students from Taipei will welcome the students from Brazil who will be watching this tape. And so from the Milton Erickson Foundation, I would like to welcome all of the attendees to the Brazilian Erickson Congress. I know that it will be a really excellent experience because I know how much work Angela puts in to making things really right. So I'm sure that it will be a great experience at the Congress, and I'm very sorry that I can't be there with you. But at least I can give you a welcome to some foundation. I know that in South America, there are some very important contributions to Ericksonian therapy. I'm very proud that Ericksonian therapy is developing so quickly throughout all of South America. I know that a lot of this is the work of Angela and Jose Augusto and some of the other Brazilian institutes, also some of the wonderful work that's happening in Mexico that's being done by Teresa Robles and her colleagues. And some of the advances in Ericksonian therapy are really due to some of the wonderful work that's happening in South America. What I would like to orient you to is some of the development of some of the schools of Ericksonian therapy that have developed in the past 20 years. And the graphic will illustrate some of the development of the different schools. There, as Ericksonian therapy developed, one of the first schools to introduce Ericksonian therapy was the Strategic Therapy School of Jay Haley and Chloe Adonis. And this school de-emphasized hypnosis and emphasized Erickson's use of tasks. One of the main contributions of the strategic school was the understanding of hierarchies and how changing social hierarchies could change individuals. And many of the tasks of strategic therapy were based in a systemic understanding of hierarchies. Another school that's derived from the Ericksonian foundation is the interactional approach, which was developed in Mental Research Institute. And that approach was based on the work of Watzlawick, Weakland, and Fish. And again, this was an approach that de-emphasized hypnosis and emphasized more the techniques of paradox and reframing. And it is a systemic approach that is based in an understanding of how interaction patterns happen in families and couples. A third development in Ericksonian therapy over the last 20 years has been the development of neuro-linguistic programming, and some of the experts that have developed neuro-linguistic programming studied Milton Erickson and used Erickson as a basis for developing that technology. A fourth school of therapy derived from Erickson is the mind-body approach from Ernest Rossi. Rossi was one of the closest collaborators to Milton Erickson and was the person who wrote the most about Erickson. But then Rossi went on to develop his own approach based in psychobiology, and studying psychobiology shed light on Erickson as Erickson was developing in this mind, as Erickson was oriented into this mind-body approach. The people in the solution-focused school, like Stephen DeShazer, again, this is an approach that is not based in hypnosis. Rossi's mind-body approach was very much based in hypnosis. The solution-focused people, like DeShazer, did not necessarily know Milton Erickson, but they developed their solution-focused approach from the interactional school of Mental Research Institute, which then was a second generation approach based in the work of Erickson. More recently, a sixth school derived from Erickson has been the self-relation school of Stephen Gilligan. And then two more schools that have been heavily influenced from Erickson, the group that I would call neo-Ericksonians, and I would include myself in that group, people who are using hypnosis and trying to develop some of the strategies that Erickson championed, for example, utilization, and how hypnosis can be applied in psychotherapy. And then an eighth school that is derived from Erickson, we could call the outcome-informed approach. And certainly Scott Miller, who did not study with Erickson, but uses many Ericksonian methods. Michael Gapfo, who does some really excellent work with depression and anxiety, not a first-generation student of Erickson, but both people have used much of what they learned from studying and reading about Erickson and developed an approach to psychotherapy that we could call outcome-informed. In addition, there are many experts who acknowledge Erickson's influence in their own approach, people from cognitive therapy, people from family therapy, and Ericksonian approach continues to develop into the mainstream of psychotherapy. So one of the intentions of the Erickson Foundation in the past 25 years of our existence has not been to establish Ericksonian therapy as a special school. Rather, our job has been to try to integrate Ericksonian methods into the mainstream of psychotherapy. It has not been an effort to develop a special school of Ericksonian therapy, but an effort to take some of the remarkable contributions of Erickson and insert them into whatever practice you do, be it individual therapy, couples therapy, or family therapy. So I hope that I have given you a little introduction to some of the evolution of Ericksonian therapy. Erickson was very good at having intellectual heirs. He really developed many experts who were able to take some of his contributions and develop them in their own unique way. So on behalf of the Milton Erickson Foundation, I'm very glad to welcome all of you to the Brazilian Congress I hope that it will be an excellent experience for you all. Thank you very much.